Point Blanc is called Point Blank in the United States. I'm not sure why they changed the book's title. In order to justify the new title, they also changed the scene where the main villain dies. It now uses the term point blank during the big finale. That makes me wonder what other changes they made to the American version.
Argo Font Book Review, Argo Font Book Review.
Alex Rider is bored with his life after the events of the last book. It's hard to be interested in homework when you're used to saving the world and stopping bad guys. Actually, it's hard to be interested in homework after doing pretty much anything. I mean, double homework? Nobody wants to do that. Alex sees a guy named Skoda, who sells drugs to kids at school. Alex trails Skoda back to his drug center, which is a small houseboat on the River Thames. It's near police headquarters and a construction site. Alex gets the absolutely crazy idea to play a crane game with the houseboat. I understand he wants to have an adventure, but this plan is so unnecessarily dangerous that I'm starting to worry about Alex. He breaks into the construction site and hijacks the crane. He picks up the houseboat and moves it to the police station. Only he gets discovered. It's kind of hard not to be discovered when you're moving a houseboat in a public place. The construction people turn off power to the crane, and the houseboat smashes into a conference center. Alex is arrested and taken to the spy people. Instead of being horrified by his wanton destruction, they decide to give him a new mission. There's a finishing school called Point Blanc, which specializes in curing 14-year-old problem children. All their clients are obscenely rich. 2 of them died recently, which is why Alex is being sent to investigate. Point Blanc is run by Dr. Hugo Grief, which is a villain name if I've ever heard one. He's a creepy skeletal man. His assistant, Ava Stellenbosch, is a giant woman who's strong enough to easily bend metal bars with her bare hands. Alex is going to pose as the child of Sir David Friend. He spends a week at Sir David's house working on his cover. Sir David tells his family that pretending he has a new son is a social experiment. That strikes me as a terrible cover story. Alex butts heads with Fiona Friend, who's super gorgeous and super mean. She takes him shooting with her friends. When Alex leaves, they try to shoot him, just for fun. He's forced to hide in a swamp and attack the ringleader to survive. I would never trust Fiona again after that, but Alex does. He goes riding with her. She takes a shortcut through a train tunnel and tries to scare him, but she accidentally hurts herself. He's forced to pull her onto the horse and escape the tunnel seconds before a train kills them all. Fiona's so grateful, she says he can kiss her. Alex would rather kiss the horse. Alex gets his spy gadgets, which are a bulletproof ski suit, an earring that's a bomb, and a CD player that doubles as a saw and an emergency signal. He's given a book that can knock someone unconscious, but sadly he's forced to waste it on Fiona when she tries to spoil his cover out of spite. On the way to Point Blanc, Alex is drugged by Stellenbosch. She takes him to an underground lair where scientists photograph every single inch of his body multiple times. That's creepy. Point Blanc is a suitably frightening place. It's isolated in the mountains with 30 armed guards constantly watching the 6 students. All the boys here act like robots. They have the same body language and expressions. The only normal boy is James Sprints. Alex sees him get kidnapped in the middle of the night. The next time Alex sees James, he acts just like everyone else. Alex enters the forbidden 3rd floor using a fireplace chimney. It's a perfect duplicate of the floor below. He finds an operating room where Dr. Grief is talking to a Dr. Baxter. When Baxter asks for extra money, Grief murders him without a second thought. Alex finds a secret elevator and goes back to his room where he activates the emergency signal. The spies decide they're going to wait a day instead of saving Alex right away. Poor Alex can't possibly wait that long, so he takes the elevator to the basement. where he finds the real students. Dr. Grief replaced them with lookalikes. Alex is captured here. Dr. Grief explains the duplicates are his evil clones. Once they're in place, they'll manipulate the powerful parents of the boys in order to take over the world. Alex thinks Dr. Grief is mad. And yes, he is. But Alex started the book by playing crane game with a houseboat. He's not exactly Mr. Measured Sanity. Alex uses his earring bomb to escape from his cell, and there's a totally awesome action scene where he snowboards down a mountain on an ironing board. He fights off two snowmobilers with machine guns, only to smash into a train. The villains are satisfied when Alex dies in the hospital. He doesn't really die, of course. That was a lie to lull the villains into a false sense of security. There's another big action scene where they send in special troops to storm Point Blanc. Alex comes along to guide them. I'm not sure why he didn't guide them over a radio feed. That would have been way safer. I didn't like this action sequence as much as the previous one, as it's mostly soldiers shooting each other. The book makes a point of saying the SAS only uses knockout darts, not real bullets. I guess they didn't want to make the spy soldiers look like murderers. Alex is a murderer, though. He sees Dr. Grief escaping by helicopter. Alex launches a snowmobile off a ski ramp to smash into the helicopter mid-air and kill Grief. Alex goes home, where he falls into a trap set by a clone that looks like him. The fake Alex shoots at him multiple times, setting off fires and explosions that rock the school. One of them dies, but we don't know which one. Alex is alive in the next book, so I'm going to assume he's the one that lived. The end. Post-book follow-up. This book is a worthy successor to the first one. I think it's safe to say if you liked the first book, you're gonna like this one. It seems to set up a distinct series formula. Chapter 1 is a scene focusing on the overall mission, followed by Alex having a minor adventure, followed by Alex meeting with the spies, followed by training, followed by Alex getting spy gear, followed by the mission itself. It's definitely a better formula than the Hardy Boys Undercover Brothers series, which always starts with a throwaway mission, followed by, oh no, Mom might figure out we're spies, followed by the Hardys forgetting how spy stuff works, followed by friend drama, followed by a mission that takes place so far away, it's impossible for the Hardys to resolve any of the mom and friend drama. While Alex Rider's formula is certainly better than Hardy Boys, I did see someone complain readers can skip straight to chapter 9 when Alex arrives at Point Blanc. I wouldn't recommend skipping half the book. Yeah, the 3 chapters with Fiona were ultimately irrelevant, but the parts that set up for the mission were interesting and built up good suspense. Not to mention, I'm still intrigued by these spies and how they operate. Even the scene with just the 2 spy leaders talking interested me. Overall, I like the book. It's got a lot of action, a decent suspense mystery, and some creepy, grotesque villains. Definitely a worthy successor. I'd rate the second half of both books the same, but I'd rate the first half of the first book a little higher than the first half of this one, because Alex playing crane game was so violent it disturbed me, and the Fiona stuff could have been improved. Like I said, it's irrelevant to the rest of the book. I give Alex Rider number 2, Point Blank, an 8 out of 10.